What do we really know about him? What do we really know about him? As you can probably tell, I've got a frog in my throat. I've named him Fred, and I'm trying to coax Fred out of my throat, but I haven't had no success. I've been sick for 2 days, pretty solid. I think because my immune system might be weak because I've changed up my diet quite a bit again for the better and working out more consistently, and maybe the combination of those things within a couple weeks has broken some things down. I'm drinking clarifying drinks, detoxing drinks, and that may have just all caused me to have a body breakdown, and so I've been staying at the house for a couple days, not getting out, but I still want to be productive. And a lot of my thoughts and a lot of my videos come from a moment that happened, or something somebody said, or something I observed that prompts this thought. And that's how God works. He allows things, and they may be things that irritate you or make you sad, have some kind of emotional reaction, good or bad, but you can turn it all around for something good. So hence the phrase, what do we really know about him, has caused me to make this video on the subject of masculinity. What do we really know about him? See, this thought came from one of the men in our church. And this is a weak and struggling church. It's pretty pathetic in my opinion. I have, and forget my opinion, it's weak and pathetic. They're good people, they love each other, but as far as, especially the men, any spiritual tenacity, any holiness, any separation, any faithfulness, they're just not there. There's not one of these men, there's 8 or 9 of them, that I would trust to do anything with. But they all want to show up every once in a while and say something and act like they're spiritual and that they're contributing, but it's pretty pathetic. And the Lord keeps putting me in these weak and pathetic situations that I call train wrecks, and they're all over the world. They're just all over the country. They're just everywhere. And He's always putting me in these situations where I have to learn to become a better man, learn some wisdom, learn some strategies, and just go through these little fires of adversity or whatnot until the Lord has got me to learn what I'm supposed to learn. So what do we really know about him? Where does that come from? Well, I'm not the pastor of this church. And so, really, I'm learning the older I get that it seems to me that the best training for any man to be in leadership, it's being second in command under different styles of leadership, and learning your place as second man, what you should and should not do, and then learning there's some things you still have to do even if the leaders aren't doing it, and trying to find that wise position. And so these men are weak and pathetic. Well, the pastor is not necessarily weak and pathetic. He's a good dude. He loves the Lord. He's got attributes in some areas of his life that are much better than I have. But there's other areas where I've got better skills. And to keep this video short, leadership is I believe my strong suit, and he's a very gracious man. He's very gracious, but a lot of people mistake grace for enabling. And, a certain amount of grace always comes with the attributes of teaching and training and correcting. And if we're not doing that and we're just letting people go on and on and on and not changing their ways, we're not really doing them a favor. And as leaders, I believe we need to be more in your face, per se, with love and kindness, but straightforwardness. Say, hey, you're not showing up right. If you want to work for me, you need to be here every day. I'm tired of hearing the excuses, and I'm not going to keep you on board anymore unless you start showing up. Hey, you're not faithful to church. No, you can't. You can't do such and such until you do this. If you're not faithful here, you're not going to be able to do things here, and just lay some guidelines down for some people. And so that's where this came from, kind of what do we really know about him? Because I've only been here a little over a year and a half. I guess it's been a year and 8 months. And they've already put me on staff a little bit. It's a small church. Already made me a trustee. And that's where this is coming from, because they do have business meetings and they trust the pastor and so on and so forth. So he is free to do things, which I think any pastor of a church should do within reason. Have some freedom, knowing that his folks will back him up. So, before we actually had the business meeting, he went ahead and started paying me $100 a week. So, I do a lot here. I do more than anybody else does. I do more than he does, and I'm not bragging. This has got nothing to do with it, but I do. I do quite a bit, and there's a whole lot about this. This is pretty weak and pathetic, and it's been under his leadership, and I've addressed it with him, and so we're just going to keep on going on doing what I know I can do. But I do a lot. I do the music. I preach when he's away. I help with the bus ministry. I run the bus ministry. It's small. We only got a couple kids. I do the children's church. I clean up around the property. So I do more, worth a whole lot more than $100 a week, which I'm not doing it for the money, but we got to get out of our mindset that ministers aren't supposed to make money at what they do. That's just an anti-Bible teaching. Okay, we are, as ministers of the gospel, if we can make a living of the gospel. That doesn't mean we can't have our own businesses and be wealthy and abundant in other ways, but it does not mean that the church is not supposed to cover our salaries or our housing or even give us a decent lifestyle. To believe that is anti-Bible. The Bible teaches just the opposite. It also does not condone preachers robbing people with all their lies and their false gospels so they can have their big jets and their mansions. And hey, in and of itself, having a mansion ain't wrong. Having jets ain't wrong. Okay? But if you're preaching lies and hypocrisy to people who aren't studying their Bibles for themselves and reaping the benefits of their ignorance, that's wrong. I digress. What does it mean when I say, what do we really know about him? So we had this meeting last night, and one of the topics was to get the church to approve the $100 a week, which they gladly did. There was only 8 members there last night, which they gladly did. And one man, again, he's one of these weak, pathetic men, okay? But he's a good dude. A lot of them are good and kind dudes. They're not the men they should be. And he said, well, I think we ought to just pay him $200 a week as soon as we can. And so there was some discussion. There was no real argument about it, and the church was in agreement. Yeah, he's worth it. And several people said, well, he's a huge blessing to me, and yes, we need to do this and it was voted on immediately. And it was no argument. And I praise the Lord for the extra $100 a week. But ballots were made to keep certain people in their certain positions, and it was already voted on that I was a trustee last meeting, so maybe Pastor forgot about it, or he wanted to readdress it again, and so it was put on this ballot about having me and the pastor as trustees, which I don't care. I do not give a flip about being a trustee of a church. I don't care about being a deacon. I don't care about any titles. I don't care. Pastor asked me to do it, and if it helps me be a blessing to the church, fine. But this one dude, because I'm leadership, I got to look at the ballots. He wrote at the bottom, for me being a trustee. He didn't mark it yes. And he just said, what do we really know about him? Okay. Let's break this down and we'll cut this video off. I've been here almost 2 years. Okay. I'm already a blessing to the church. The church loves me. Okay, they take care of me. They gave me a great birthday in November. Okay, they love me. They care for me. They support me. All right. And there's basically 3 solid women in the church. Okay, none of the men are solid. Not a one of them. But they all still support me. This one guy I don't know about him. This one guy last year, this same fella, even though now we're getting along, I had to confront him a couple times because he always runs his mouth and he says things to other people, and I've just called him out on it a couple times. Well, last year as I came around the corner, after he'd said something, I said something in the other room. I said, what are you talking about? And I came around the corner, he had a taser ready to tase me. Amen. A man in church ready to tase another man in church. Bunch of foolishness. I just laughed at him, backed off, and I said, listen, man, you got some issues you're going to have to work through. You're sitting here trying to taser me. Okay, I'm not the problem, you're the problem. Anyway. And so he's a whole lot more mild, and we seem to get along pretty good. And he's even made me a couple flies for fly fishing. And just, I thought things were progressing. If I had to pick any man in the church that I felt I was maybe building a little bit of a relationship with, it was him. Okay, he's not my friend, he's not my buddy, I'm not going to hang around with him, but if there was any kind of relationship being built, it seemed like maybe a little bit with me and him. But yet, after all I do in the church, after all the people that are here that trust me, that love me, and he in a lot of ways is a dirtbag, he wants to put on there, but what do we really know about him? And it's fine. It's fine. You have to consider the source. You always have to consider the source, because you know what? You're never going to please everybody. You're never going to be in a position where everybody likes you, nor should you want to be. But you consider the source. I guess that's probably the gist of this video. You consider the source. Okay, he's unproven. He's made a lot of people mad. He's rude and disrespectful. And Pastor lets him stay here because he's gracious. Yeah, it was more comical than anything when I saw that. What do we really know about him? So let me springboard that into masculinity. What do we really know about anybody? What do we really know about anybody? Okay, at some point in time, you're just going to have to be the man, regardless of what anybody says or thinks about you. You're going to have to be the masculine man that God made you to be. Knowing that there's going to always be somebody that doesn't like you. There's always going to be somebody out there that hates you. There's always going to be somebody out there that is trying their best to hurt you. There's always people out there going to try to belittle you or whatnot. They're always going to be glad when you're gone. No matter what kind of front they put up, you just have to be the man. And just keep following my stuff and watching these free YouTube videos or the podcast, however you get it. And if you feel there's anything I'm saying that's resonating with you, that will help you up your game as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a businessman, or just in life in general, and you think you'd like to invest in some of our books, resources, or coaching programs, just like and subscribe, make comments, send us your email, your text messaging, your phone numbers. You can reach me at 970-697-0232 or Chris Huffman 513 at Gmail. ChrisHuffman 513. As always, keep your eyes on him.